This is huge. How excited are you about this movie finally coming out? Because it was, what, 2 years and $175 million in the making?
Yes. Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, I first auditioned for this time round on December 2010. And now we're finally coming out to releasing it. A lot of hard work has gone into this.
A ton of hard work, I'm sure.
We can't wait to show all of you guys the movie.
You know, I know that you auditioned for another Superman movie 8 years ago. Sadly, for us, you didn't get the part because we know a lot more about you by now. But what was your reaction when you heard that you had, in fact, landed this plum role?
It wasn't what you might think it was. When I was told by Zach on the phone, I wasn't prepared for yes. I was 100% prepared for no. That's
Really?
what I've been told over and over again in the past, and I was set for that. And then when they said yes, I didn't know how to react. It took a long time to process. So I sat there kind of quietly for about 20 minutes, just trying to work out how to feel, and tried to call my family and everything, and no one picked up the phone, not one of them. So I was left alone even longer. But yeah, it was a very surreal feeling.
You know, and I think when you take on such an iconic role, there's a lot of pressure to really put your own mark on it. So how did you take this character, Superman, and make him less of a comic book character and make him more multidimensional? Because I know that was a big goal for the filmmakers.
Very much so. We wanted to base this whole story in realism, to modernize it, to bring it to a modern audience, to make the character easier to associate with. And personally, I wanted to apply a very real-world feeling of that loneliness. We've all felt lonely at one stage or another, whether it be for short periods of time or long periods of time. And that's what Clark experiences. He's spent his entire life without one person empathizing with him. His two adopted parents sympathize, but they have no answers. They have no idea how he feels. Just having to watch the world go by and try and work out why people do what they do, and what their reaction would be to you if they discovered any part of you. That's what I applied to the character, and you see a bit of that in Clark, or a lot of that in Clark.
And, you know, this, I think, role, you obviously became well-known for your role in The Tudors, which is, of course, the people elected, the womanizing Charles Brandon. And Superman, the Man of Steel, is quite different than your character in The Tudors, isn't it?
Extremely different. Yes.
Very different outfit, for one.
Yeah, a bit more clothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you had to bulk up considerably for this role, although you're looking pretty fine now. I mean, are you still are you at the weight you were at when you did the film? Or, because honestly, in the movie, he's like ripped. I mean, crazy ripped.
No, I'm not at the same weight at all. When you're Superman size for a Superman movie, that's all well and good and that's fine. But for other roles, you just can't be that big. I've probably lost about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. I mean, I was a very, very big guy.
Meanwhile, are you prepared? Because I think this is really going to catapult you, Henry, to a whole new level. Which is wonderful, but it's fantastic, but it's also a little scary, no?
There's definitely that idea of life is going to change dramatically. I can't be prepared for it. There's no way of preparing yourself for that because I just don't know what's going to hit and how it's going to happen. I'm just going to have to ride the wave, enjoy it as much as possible because this is a really, really unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience. It only ever happens once. And so I'm just going to ride the wave and roll with the punches if it comes.
Well, you know, I know that a lot of people are going to learn much more about you in the weeks to come, but just tell us a little bit about you. Actually, Henry's a Jersey boy. His accent, it doesn't sound like it. But Henry really is from Jersey, which is?
Yeah, it's old Jersey, the island of Jersey. It's, it's a very small island, 9 miles by 5 in between England and France, and that's where I call home.
And you always wanted to be an actor?
I sort of had, you know, I think kids always want to be all sorts of things when they grow up, but acting was something which I really wanted to do. It was either that or join the armed forces, but acting ended up getting me first.
And believe it or not, when Henry was younger, the other kids teased him and called him Fat Cavill. I don't believe that.
Believe it. It don't. Oh, it's it's one of those things. Kids are kids. And my name was Cavill, and I was fat, so it was a very apt nickname actually. And had I not been sort of fat and Cavill, then I would have found it funny. But it's just one of those things. Kids stretch their social muscles at that age, and it's not malicious. It's just they're trying to find out where they fit into the world.
And of course, when you see them at your high school reunion, that's going to be a fun day, right?
Well, there's no grudge held. If I ever do bump into them again, wherever the case may be, I hope they're happy and healthy and life is good with them.
You're a much nicer person than I am. Lane, I heard that was something, a character you always wanted to play as well. Is that true?
It is true. Yeah, I grew up watching Superman and really loving that relationship, and kind of my Barbie dolls were saved by many a Superman.
Was it the Chris Reeve Superman?
It was the Christopher Reeve, yeah.
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 And so you had auditioned, or
I had auditioned, yeah. I actually screen tested with some of the guys that were up for the J.J. Abrams script.
Right.
And then read for a casting director for Superman Returns. Did not get either of those parts, clearly. So
you're in
here
good
today,
company.
which is great, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when it comes to playing Lois Lane, Amy, how do you turn her into a real thinking, feeling human being when she's, so well known and so iconic and has been played so many times before?
Yeah, we were lucky we had a script that defined the characters so differently, and their circumstances and sort of the relationship that develops between Clark and Lois is so different than it's been explored in the past. We have a real friendship and we sort of trust each other, and this alien teaches me more about humanity than I've discovered through my search in the past. So.
But it's not just the script, though, is it, Amy? Because it seems to me, I know that you're being credited, and I saw the movie, and I agree, with really infusing Lois with so much humanity and heart. And she feels very real to me, even though it's this kind of, obviously, hard to fathom story.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was the important thing. Zach was really great about sort of letting us know, like, he wanted it to feel grounded and real, and he wanted the relationships to feel real. And whenever I sort of got caught up in thinking, like, oh, I'm Lois Lane and I have to do something, he's always like, no, I didn't hire you to be anybody else. Just do your thing, And so it was so great. I knew just by him casting me, he was thinking a little outside the box,
And it must have been so challenging having to work with Henry every day.
It's just so awful. It's just too bad about his face, right? He's such a nice guy, and then, I kind of feel bad because in all of the press, it's like obvious, so people are constantly asking the question, and then I'm like, Henry's going to take out a restraining order on me if I keep talking about how cute he is and like giggling in his presence. But I challenge anyone to stare in his eyes for 5 seconds and not giggle. So, yeah,
Okay.
It is not easy. And
I'm definitely not
really
up to that challenge.
No, but he really is the nicest guy and so humble and has so many other wonderful qualities that you kind of forget, and then you see other people react to him, and you're like, oh yeah, he's really good looking. And
Yeah, and I wonder, honestly, I mean, it's sort of a cliche
it's so
question.
weird to like,
but
usually I'm saying it when you're not around, so now I'm like, feels weird.
But for women, sometimes there is such a thing as being too ridiculously good looking, as they would say in
Well, I haven't had that problem.
I don't
so.
know, you're pretty beautiful too, Amy, but do you worry at all, Henry, about it getting in the way of your acting and for people, in terms of people taking you seriously for your craft instead of your packaging? I said packaging.
I think she just touched you.
I said packaging,
She
please.
just stroked you. All right.
It's all down to the filmmaker, really. I mean, how he or she shoots me and how, I interact with the castmates. You can look any way you want, but your director will make you look however he wants you to look. Yeah. And that's what it's really down to. Yeah. And then the audience will perceive you a certain way.
Meanwhile, Amy, you've had such tremendous success, so congratulations
Thank
on
you.
all your great roles.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
And, reading up on you for this interview, I was reminded that you were an Army brat, right? You were born in Italy.
Born in
you grew
Italy.
up in Colorado.
Yes.
And one
Like,
of,
yes, ma'am. There's the Army. Yes, ma'am.
but
Yeah.
one of 7 kids,
Yeah,
right?
one of 7.
So how do you think sort of your upbringing prepared you for what you're doing today?
Well, I take criticism pretty well because I come from, but it just keeps you humble, and you keep yourself in check because you do have this group of people with a shared experience, and you know, I don't think I'm any different than them. I don't think I'm special. I think I just chose to do something and was lucky enough to get to do it in this capacity. And
As we said, Henry's sort of on the verge of kind of really becoming a household name. What advice, Amy, since this has happened to you a while ago, would you give to Henry as he navigates this sort of more accentuated form of fame?
I don't even know what Henry's about to go in for, because there's like a whole teenage girl thing that I can't give you any advice on. I don't know. Henry's got it under control. Like, he's got this natural humility, and so I think it's just a matter of like finding space for yourself and
Even
time for yourself and
you,
space for yourself.
You
That's
talk
all.
about teenage girls, and your daughter isn't a teenager
No, I
yet.
mean-
Aviana is 3,
He knows
and her first crush has been on Henry. How do you know that?
It's gotten really weird around the house. So we're like, now it's really funny. We'll be driving down the street. She's like, Mom, look, it's Henry. And I go, and what's Henry wearing? His super suit. That's what she calls it. Henry's wearing that super suit. It's very cute.
So all those
to
teenage
watch.
girls have some competition.
Yeah,
Your
she'll be,
daughter.
you know, yeah, we'll see. She's got, I give her like 5 years, and I'm going to be like, Aviana, really?
Enough about the
Inappropriate.
super suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Anyway, well, I loved you in the movie, as in everything really that
Thank
you've done.
you.
I'm a huge fan. Approached about playing Superman's dad, did you think, I want to play Superman, I don't want to play his dad?
No. I can read the tea leaves. I knew what the call was. I knew what the call was about. I knew it would be in the corn. I knew it would be all that stuff.
You just can't get out of the
No, I
corn,
just
can
can't.
you? Well, you know what I think is interesting about this role is your character really, I believe, provides sort of the moral center of the film. You know, how do you handle this extraordinary power that this young man has been given, and how do you also manage being a father of someone who you didn't father,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
right,
it's
right.
complicated.
Well, we want to, obviously, we know when somebody lands on your doorstep, which happens in this fable, it's like, what do you do? And I think that we all, Diane Lane, who is really great in the movie, who can't be here, plays my wife. We know we have to protect him, and we know if he reveals himself that he'll be taken away from us. So if any one of you can imagine that someone would be taken away from you, you have to keep the thing a secret. And I think the line is a really important line to say, would you stand in front of the human race? Because there's a lot of questions about how we handle ourselves out there in the world, and good and bad. And I know as our human race, we keep trying, but it's a kind of an interesting thing that this farmer would say, would you stand in front of us? And he knows it's a question. Would you be proud to stand in front of us?
It's interesting that you call it a fable, because you have to make this film feel contemporary, or it feels too much like a caricature. And I think the filmmakers were very successful at that, Kevin.
This is the biggest movie I've ever been a part of, and it really lives up to it. I have to say, you know, I make Westerns, and so it's usually me in front of a campfire. And this guy has no compulsion about tearing a town down, but he does it in such a beautiful way and with a great cast. And, you know, we really wouldn't have a movie. You know, we all have to work, and Lois is a doll, and my wife is great, and Russell is great, and the others are great, but it doesn't work unless Henry works, and it's not an easy role to pull off. It's almost an impossible thing, and, you know, you did a fantastic job, and Superman works because of him, and it really does.
Oh, that's nice. And as an Academy Award-winning director, you know, for Dances with Wolves, is it hard when you're not directing? I mean, do you have the impulse to be like, cut, or, you know, to maybe to give too many instructions?
No, I tell you, I thank God every day I wasn't in charge of Superman.
Why?
Because I don't understand it. It's not the kind of movie that I know how to make. I'm really happy to be a part of it. But this is a big vision. This is a big-time thinker, Zack Snyder. And this is a guy who understands that world that we all are now living with, the visual effects and the new stuff. And he is unafraid of it. And he takes you for a really big ride. And we were able to make this movie that's entertainment. But I've always thought, because I never believed in Superman as a kid, I I wasn't even sure how he could he put on glasses and fake Lois Lane out. I didn't,
Yeah, like she wouldn't recognize him. Hello?
like, yeah. So as a kid, I never bought into it, you know, but I buy into this Superman, and I just did because it's robust, is all I could say about it.
And you know what's nice, Kevin, is it seems to me that, you know, you've been doing this for a while. Of course, I remember I think one of your first films is one of my favorites, which is No Way Out, particularly the steamy scene in the limo. Hello. And maybe it was the uniform, Kevin, I'm not sure what. And this is 25th anniversary of Bull Durham coming up, which is crazy, right? But, you know, it seems like you still really, A, enjoy this, and B, appreciate it.
Yeah, I understand what the mythology is for all of us. I mean, the movie theater is one of the first places our parents ever let us go to be alone, right? You know, the world's a kind of a scary place, but for some reason the theater was, okay, you can go to the movies with your friend. And so we go to the movies and the lights go out. I miss the curtain opening. It doesn't open anymore, because I always thought that was the opportunity for something great to happen. But the movies teach us a lot. And we've all gotten to play characters that are stronger than us. Maybe not him, God. But braver, smarter. That's what the movies allow us to do, and sometimes say the one line you wish you said in a critical moment. That's the movies.
We're fantastic in this movie.
Thank you.
Did you have a good time? I mean, is it fun to play someone so bad?
I had a blast. You know, I was a little scared at first because I saw the original with Terrence Stamp, and it made a big stamp on me. No pun intended. But he was very scary, and I didn't think I could be that scary. And then Zach said, well, you know, it's really not about being scary. It's about being a general and taking your job seriously, and you're trying to save your civilization, which is something I think anybody can understand, you know. So I kind of just took a different approach and tried not to think too much about what happened before, you know.
Do you ever want to say to your agent, listen, can I just have a light little rom-com next time? Because honestly, your roles are so intense and
Right.
dark.
Well, yeah, but it's hard to feel bad about getting an opportunity like this. I mean, to play an icon, you know, in a story that means so much to this country, it's pretty exciting. I mean, I don't know. I'll do anything that anybody offers me to do. It's more a matter of them thinking that I'm right for those kind of parts, you know.
Well, a lot of people have thought you were right for a lot of parts, and no, it's been great. I thought you were amazing in Revolutionary Road.
Thank you.
When people saw this film, though, they thought, this Michael Shannon guy, he's got it going on. He's going places. And, you know, Kevin, as someone who's observed a lot of incredible actors through the years, why do you think Michael has been so successful? And what do you think he brings to the role of General Zod?
Well, you know, bad guys, a lot of people think, well, they're the easiest ones to play. They're also the easiest ones to play badly. You get to do the dance, and I think that Michael plays it as a leading man. He owns the space that he's on, and I think that a lot of times we associate character actors sometimes like not having the weight of lead actors. It's simply not true. He carries it like a lead.
Thank you. I mean, for me, I know this sounds weird because he is technically the villain, but everything he's doing is from the heart, you know. And in a way, he actually really, there's a time in the movie where you think that Zod and Cal could actually have a non-adversarial relationship, and then of course it disappears.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
4-year-old daughter, Sylvie. I'm assuming you're not going to show her this movie, right, Michael?
No, but she came to set. She came to set, and you were very nice. You actually said hi to her, and
Well, she's got some competition with
yeah,
Amy's
exactly.
daughter, you know.
I think your daughter's gonna spend more time with Henry probably than mine. But there's a lot of families on this show. Very family type vibe, which is ironic considering when you see the clips.
Yeah, as I've been saying, I think the movie has a lot of heart.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, which is important. Exciting for all of us and the cast to have you in this movie. When I went to see you right before we started today, and you said you were so excited about this movie.
I am.
Why?
For a number of reasons. I think the first of which is that I'm a big comic book fan and collector and have been for a long time. I grew up here in New York. I'm a Marvel guy first, but everybody loves Superman. And I was a fan of the TV series. Of course, I was a fan of Christopher Reeves. Christopher Reeves was a wonderful, wonderful man, incredibly sensitive, beautiful guy. Kind of reminds me of you in a way, I have to say.
That's a nice compliment.
But I also want to say, I just want to say that all of these individuals here on this stage, everybody in this movie, everybody is absolutely genius in what they do. I mean, Henry brings a sensitivity to Superman that's unheard of, like, so beautiful, your work. Amy's the real deal. There's a reason that this woman has been nominated so many times for an Academy Award. She's really incredible. Michael, I saw Michael do a play here in New York City. How many years ago, Michael?
15.
15
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
I did a play called Killer Joe with one of my uncles, Scott Glenn, who you know. And then I told you this when I saw you. What they achieved with this man in this movie is just earth-shattering to me. And in light of what's been happening in the Midwest, in Missouri and Oklahoma, didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you? It's,
In fact, when I watched that scene, there's a very dramatic scene involving a tornado. I thought, gee, this is very timely. Is it too timely?
No, I think it's a gift. It's a gift that we get to touch people with what we do. And you wouldn't imagine that you'd get touched in the way that you do in a Superman sort of comic book movie. But what's great about this is it's so grounded. The performances are so honest. It brings it right into our contemporary world, and it's just really wonderful.
You know, reading about everything you've done, Lawrence, from Othello to The Matrix to a recurring role on CSI, clearly you love the diversity of roles that have been offered to you in the past. But I didn't realize that you started acting when you were just 10 years
I
old.
started acting when I was 10 years old. Katie, when I was 10 years old, 11 years old, I was taking the train from Brooklyn to right around here, 66th Street, to do One Life to Live with Tommy Lee Jones and Tom Berenger, and that's what I was, that was Larry.
Clearly you had a lot of ambition when you were younger, because I also read that when you were 14, you convinced Francis Ford Coppola to cast you in Apocalypse Now.
Well,
You must have been a very convincing 14-year-old. Look at you, there you are.
yeah, that was 14. That was 100 years ago, and but no, I auditioned for the film here in New York, and I was asked how old I was, and I said I was 16. And then I was asked what year in high school I was in, and I started to say freshman, and then I said, oh no, I'm a sophomore. So I lied about my age, but it wasn't like they believed me. They knew, they knew I wasn't.
Well, we're so glad that it all worked out for you, because I think you bring such dignity to every role you take on, including this one. So, at an action-packed movie. I mean, were some of these scenes that I feel like you were in the middle of so many of them, Chris, were they hard to shoot and hard to do? And I mean, I can imagine technically it must have been pretty challenging.
The most challenging technical aspect for me, and what I had to do, was when I pulled the submachine gun out, I didn't shoot the stunt guy next to me in the leg, which I did it one time, and I went, "Are you okay?" So yeah, past that, you know, they're really very adept, very proficient at where they're putting the computer stuff in, where they're putting the people in. The technical wizardry that we all have at our disposal. And I'll give you an example. There's a scene where I'm in a helicopter, and it's now a dangerous part. The helicopter's not operating well. Zack Snyder, the director, pulls out his phone and says, "Here, this is what it's going to look like."
Oh, wow.
And it's so intense, you know, it's going like that. And, you know, light is going like this. And,
And fire.
Yeah, it's crazy. I said, "Wow." I go, "How did you do that?" He goes, "I did it last night. I turned on my phone and I went like that."
Very high tech, right?
That's all there is to it. He said, "Yeah," and I just have a light kind of running around like that. So, you know, it's the technical wizardry is really, it's Houdini-esque.
Do you guys feel pressure? Because let's face it, when you do a Superman movie, inevitably, and when it's this big, this expensive, and, you know, 2 years in the making, it produces a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation and expectations. Are you worried at all about meeting those expectations?
Let me say this from my perspective. When I got on the set and I got a gander at him in the suit, I went, oh, that's Superman. There's no mistake there. Then I saw the cast list, and I was like, oh, okay. I'd already read the script. I went, wow. And then you bump into Zack Snyder, who's in charge of this $1 million machine, and every day he's like this. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? He's like this. I never did not see a smile on that guy's face, and I went, oh, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I probably could say the same about every man up here, but Chris, you're quite the heartthrob. You know, you have a huge female fan base. From SVU, no.
It's the first I hear of this, but continue.
There are a lot of men that like you as well, too.
Thank you, Laura.
No, LLCM. Ladies love Christopher Maloney,
Laura.
I'm telling you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
There's one episode he got shot, and he's like, I'll get the baby. And I was like, yes, that is right.
Yeah, you get that baby.
And he's holding the
But
baby with a sling, and it's like, yes, this is so good.
there you go. Amy knows what I'm talking about.